Hello everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me. So today I have a bit of a different video for you. I have a reaction video, but okay, the person we are reacting to is me. So I started YouTube properly. I've only been doing this full time since we went into lockdown. So 2020? I can't even remember. However, before that, I was like sporadically posting videos. Like once, I don't know, there were times when I tried to get into YouTube and then couldn't be bothered. So I want to look back at some of those videos and critique myself. Now, my makeup knowledge and the kind of feedback I tend to give in terms of makeup hasn't really changed much since then. What has changed is how I do makeup on myself. These videos we're going to look at were the first instances of my first experience of putting makeup on myself. So I have been a makeup artist since I was 18 years old. But this was before social media, all this kind of stuff. So I never put makeup on my own face. I became a makeup artist to work with models, clients. So I was always working this way. When I started doing social media, I had to flip my hand this way and learn a whole different way to do makeup and concept of doing makeup. Lucky I had some practice before, so it wasn't too bad, but there's definitely some stuff I would change now. Looking back at it, 5 years later from me starting to do makeup. I think it's 5 years. We're gonna say 5 years. So just before we get into that today, do consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up. And as I always like to say, creativity and individuality have no rules, but makeup has a theory, and that's what we're looking at in these videos today. So if you're used to my videos, I'm a lot more comfortable on camera now than I was back then. And I never used to show my face. A lot of the time I did actually use models. Those videos are gone because people in the comments were assholes. So I used to like a close up on my eye and I'll do like one eye. So be ready for me being a little bit awkward on camera, because I was just starting out. So let's start with this video. This is nude eyeliner and smoky eye tutorial. This is when tutorials were like, people actually watched them. I'm getting shy and embarrassed.
Hey guys, this week I'm showing
Okay, straight up, let's take a look at this eyebrow. This was, when was this? 7 years ago. Wow, okay. I don't even know what it was. This eyebrow is very reminiscent of 7 years ago. However, what I would point out is this outer edge here. You can clearly see where my eyebrow stops. And it's almost like a very fine gap between my brow and the actual product. What I actually would have done here, say this was a client, is it's very important to comb the brow down also when you come to the tail. So you would get like a spoolie and brush downwards, so you can almost have the hairs coming out of where the hairs actually grow, if that makes sense. And then you don't get this very obvious tail, because that looks like a brow with an extension pack. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't look very cohesive. It doesn't look like streamlined with the brow. And I don't think I've put any products in the brow here. Fluffy brows like this perhaps wasn't the trend for everyone. It was definitely a trend on like runway and stuff like that. But it wasn't like mainstream in terms of, this was before brow lamination was popular and everything. But even a bit of brow gel would have added a bit more texture, a bit more depth to that brow, because that is flat. Okay, let's carry on with my awkward voice.
how to create this really easy nude eyeliner look.
It is easy.
So we're starting out.
This music is so horrible. It's like, it doesn't quite fit makeup. I know that sounds very strange.
Priming the eyelid with this
Oh my
NYX
God.
chubby pencil.
Oh my God. See how trends come back around? This NYX chubby pencil, I literally bought this because I kept seeing it everywhere on Instagram, it would have been at the time, and YouTube. We'll talk about my foundation in a minute. And now it's just come back around again, but I feel like they've made it better this time. It's a lot smoother. Let's just very quickly touch on my foundation. You can see around this area here, I haven't taken it quite up to the brow in this area. I think I'm wearing a powder foundation, it looks like, because it's really horribly textured over in this area. So I would have taken like, I mean, if I had been looking at my face properly and I had an external monitor, which I didn't at this time, it was like, I guess you're on camera, I would have taken a small brush, like a fluffy eyeshadow blending brush, and taken that right up to under the brow right here, which I've clearly missed.
White. And I actually really like this one at the moment. I find when I use colours on top, the colour comes out really strong and vivid. And it's really easy to blend on top of as well. I like to use my finger to blend it out and warm it up. Otherwise it can seem to be quite dry almost, and the colour tends to catch. So really blend it out with your finger and make it soft.
Yeah, that's very true. My voice is so, I hate this. Yeah, it kind of, the old version, the newer version is a lot smoother, but with a lot of drier eye primers, and this is in general with eye primer, you can warm it up with your finger because you tend to get like patchier eyeshadow if you don't. By the way, this eye makeup, talking about the creases, was me doing like a first try or something, so it's not 100%.
Next, I'm just taking a grey, almost flesh tone.
Look at this.
And taking that
subscribe just permanently up in the corner. That's aggressive.
Through the socket. This is just going to add a bit of definition.
Say that again. Sorry, 1 second.
Next, I'm just taking a grey, almost flesh tone and taking that through the socket.
I know what I mean by grey flesh tone, but there's not an ounce of grey to this. I think I meant like a cold, like nude flesh tone.
This is just going to add a bit of definition.
I need to bear in mind as well, when I was making these videos, I was, you know, I never really had to explain too much to like clients and people about, oh God, this highlighter looks really dodgy. About, what am I saying? Colors and what I see in the color. And at this point, I wasn't really getting much comments. I think I had about 200 subscribers, so I wasn't really getting many comments. It has 10,000 views, but I think because it's really old. So I wasn't getting feedback like that's not great or that's not something. So I never really corrected myself.
And we're blending that almost outwards towards the ear and underneath the eye as well. Next, I'm taking a darker brown. I'm taking this through the socket, not all the way across, only 3/4 of the way, and a tiny bit on the outside of the eyelid.
So that's halfway across. But halfway across is fine too. This is very basic start of a smoky eye. I still kind of follow these principles in terms of stacking color and the order.
Also taking this underneath the eye to give...
Okay, let's talk about this skin. I've clearly, again, rushed into doing my makeup, and actually, I remember, because I would only ever do one eye, I would only put foundation on half my face, and I would literally get like a powder foundation, whack it on, and then kind of be done with it, you know? Whereas now, I sit in front of a camera with my whole face, I prime my skin, I do whatever, whereas this was kind of like a rush job, you know?
I'm going to take my fluffy brush. This is the number 200 from Kiko Cosmetics. It's one of my favourite blending brushes.
Not anymore.
I'm taking a black now, a matte black, and concentrating this mainly through the socket for now, with a tiny brush.
That's very brave to start with a matte black and on a fluffier brush, especially with my foundation on, because I'm definitely, well, maybe might get some kind of fallout under there. I would actually now probably go in with a flat brush and build it up on the outside corner and then work my way outwards on myself.
You can see I'm not taking it any higher than the socket. I'm just trying to keep it right inside.
That's hidden. 1 second.
I'm blending that through again with my blending brush.
What's that bit on my brush? This is a bit of a unless I'm doing a halo eye, which, it looks like a halo eye in a picture. I can't remember what I did, but that blend was very uneven. That's why I wouldn't take it that far into the inside corner with new product on the brush. I would blend it across, add product on the outside, and then blend it across and over again to make that stronger. I wouldn't put product directly there unless I'm doing a halo eye.
And I'm going to keep building up this black until I'm happy with the density. I'm going to take some under the eyes, not the full way across, only about 1/4 of the way across. I'm going to build it up in the outside corner. We're kind of going for a halo or spotlight look with this, where we're going to have the centre of the lid quite light. We don't actually physically want to put colour here, we just want to use what's left in our brush to blend out.
That foundation's terrible.
I'm building up that black again because I want it to be a bit darker and a bit more smokier. And again, blending that. Blending is everything with this look and with most looks. You want to make sure that all the colours blend well together. Next, I'm taking just a pure white eyeshadow and I'm tapping this on the centre of the lid and then gently blending that over with my blending brush. I've soaked this in some makeup remover, angle.
I wouldn't do that now. I wouldn't do that now. Now we're close up. Just look how this makeup remover, it might create like quite a fine line, but watch how it slowly starts to dissolve the makeup around it. It creeps in and starts to dissolve it.
Brush, not too much, it's just a tiny bit damp, and I'm literally going to use it as if I'm drawing on liquid liner.
I would just use a flesh tone liquid liner.
So this is going to erase any of that makeup and give us that strong line.
Wait, oh. eyeliners will give it.
My eyelid is really red doing this because there was lipstick on the brush. I forgot to clean it from a tutorial I did before.
That's disgusting. It's so disgusting.
But you just absolutely clean something before you use it on your eyes.
Yes. So you can you see around these areas here, how you can't ever really get a dead straight line because you're leaving makeup remover or micellar water. Micellar water wasn't a thing yet, I don't think, on the brush, and it will like slowly dissolve away those edges very, very gently, and you'll never get a truly straight line.
This is what the liner looks like by itself. I'm going to add lashes from Eye Shimmer. This is my favourite lash called Duchess.
Oh my God,
and that's the whole look. That's the Flesh liner. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Oh my God,
Don't forget to subscribe for future
tutorials.
And I'll see you next week.
I'm not sure what Kylie Jenner look that was. See, as I said, I used to have models on my channel. I don't anymore because they would leave like really terrible comments. And these people are my friends doing it for free, and I wouldn't subject them to that. So how crazy. Okay, not the best, not the worst. This is Morphe free what? Oh my God, dyslexia. 305M. Is that right? Or is it 30M? And whatever, palette tutorial. Easy eye makeup tutorial. With a bit of a dodgy liner, let's see.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am back for good this time, I promise you.
I wasn't.
I am doing a tutorial today using the Morphe 350M and 350S.
That brow. Oh, it just made me burp. Look at that brow. What a 2016, whatever year it was, brow that is. Holy shit. I think as well, when I was doing this, I was trying to like ultra feminize my face a little bit more in terms of like sculpting the brows too much to make it look a little bit more, I don't know, because I would take Instagram pictures. There was a point where nobody knew I was a guy on my Instagram because I always used to like, you know, make my brows really sharp, and I used to Photoshop them thinner and skinnier until one day I posted a picture myself. I was like, oh, you're a man. I was like, yeah.
I'm using this orange tone right through the socket, just pushing that in and blending it through.
Horrible audio. Horrible audio. I don't have that Snapchat anymore.
And then I'm taking a matte dark brown,
turn it down.
and I'm
It's too loud.
concentrating that
That's
on
crazy.
the outside corner. This is actually my first time using these palettes in this tutorial or ever, so I'm kind of experimenting with the colour.
Yeah, it was my first Morphe palette.
Didn't blend very well, as you can see here.
And you know what, there's an issue with that because it didn't blend very well. Oh, it's a spat. It probably didn't blend very well, but also I didn't really help the blending. I'm not sure why I was using that like tapered pinpoint brush to kind of push and press on a color like that onto my lid. It won't blend that well because I've just pretty much just stabbed it onto my face. I should have used something a little bit thicker, maybe something not tapered, and I would have got a more of a natural blend from it anyway in the first place. Because like even something like this, that's tapered but it's fluffy around the edges. I remember that brush. That was harsh and stabby and pointy.
It's quite easy to, not easy to move. So I'm trying to blend that through, just keeping it to the outside corner. And I've actually put a little bit of the same colour on my brush now.
Should have done this in the first place.
Again.
Should have done that in the first place.
Makes it a little bit easier for the colour to move if
Yes.
there's a little bit more product on the brush.
That brow, I can't get over it.
Next, I am taking a kind of
Look, I've even concealered on top. I feel like that's so outdated now.
blushy colour. It was quite deep, and I'm just going over this whole thing because again that dark brown didn't blend too well, so I just want to fade it out a tiny amount. Then I am taking the same.
I should have faded it out with a colour in its own kind of like colour range, because this is quite a cold brown. I've used quite a warm brown on top to help blend it out, and that's not really going to do anything. So if I perhaps use a lighter, colder brown, it would have blended out and looked a little bit more smoother that way, because I can still see the initial application area, you know?
Colour again and doing the same thing. Most of the brushes I'm using this are from Morphe as well. They're absolutely incredible.
They're not. I got those new trying Morphe, and within like 2 weeks they were spiky and uncomfortable.
This colour, I wish you could see it on camera, but it's kind of this fleshy,
nice colour.
almost like peachy colour, but it actually has a duo tone to it. So it has this amazing pink kind of luster tone as well. And I'm using
So luster isn't a tone, it's a finish.
to outline the eyelid, not taking it any higher than the socket.
See, this is what we used to call a cut crease back in the day. Anything that had that shape that was like completely, it could just be like a line and that would be a cut crease, you know what I mean? Not like this. This is what used to be a cut crease.
Then gently blending it through the eye socket here. I'm taking the dark matte brown, the same as the one we used before, and I'm filling the outside corner and just slightly through the socket with that colour. I want to start to create a fade. It's quite difficult to get Morphe products here in the UK,
back then.
Unless you want to pay a lot of postage. So I ordered mine from a website called Beauty Chamber. They're amazing. I'll leave a link below.
I wonder if they're still around.
Burnt orange, just amazing.
That orange goes beautifully into that like purple that's been created from that pink shift over that grey tone brown. It looks really nice.
In colour, it's so vivid. I felt like it needed a little bit more colour, so I'm just taking that through the socket along my socket bone and blending that through. This brush is incredible. I can't remember the number, I'll put it on the screen. It's this really huge blending brush and it just makes the job so much easier and quicker.
You know, something like that now would be the Rose and Ben brush in, oh, that's 2, E29, perfect. It's like such a beautiful brush.
I'm taking that burnt orange under the eye as well. I'm actually going to take it the whole way across and I'm gently going to blend that in. I'm kind of pushing into my eye, if that makes sense. Eyeball, yeah. And I'm going to do the same with a brown.
Can you see how that kind of tone of brown, where it's quite grey toned with the warm orange, it makes a little bit of muddiness rather than definition. Just, I would be careful stacking those kind of colours on top of each other. I don't know what it is about being a makeup artist and not taking your own advice. But this is stuff I would have known to do on clients, but when I'm doing it on myself, maybe I'm just experimenting a little bit more. But yeah. God, I
really careful where you're blending. I'm using that big brush again, it's incredible. I added some lashes and some liner, and that's the whole look. It's
that lashes hanging out. That lash is hanging off for dear life. This is a thing though, again, this would have been, I didn't have experience putting lashes on myself, like, or liner. I think I probably did that off camera, the liner, because it probably took me an hour to do and it's not even that great. But, putting on lashes and liner, in my opinion, on clients was one of the most difficult things to learn for makeup. I can do it now very easily. I still struggle on myself with like liquid liner, but back then, oh my God, I clearly struggle so much that it's not even attached to my eye properly.
These palettes are incredible. If you haven't tried Morphe before, which who hasn't by now, I would definitely recommend them. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. I will see you next week. Bye.
That's not even a clickable link. Why did I do that? I can't even click on it. Anyway, please do consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and maybe in 10 years time, 7 years time, we can look back at some of my tutorials. Thanks again, everyone. I'll see you soon. Bye.